comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the.
In the Fresno and Clovis area, there are many intermediate and high schools with football programs. These young men want to be tough and popular like their idols in the NFL. Fresno State University has a football program. The team plays in the National Collegiate Athletic Association, better known as the NCAA. We would have liked to interview the Fresno State coach, Tim DeRuiter, and hear his opinion on concussions. Is it safe to play? What is done for the safety of the players? Are the salaries too high in the NFL? Is it worth risking your health playing college football when only 0.08% of the players continue to the NFL? Do we need a concussion center in the Valley? Unfortunately, it was not possible to get an interview because of a very bureaucratic process.
Okay, Meta, what do we have to do?
We have to, I guess, have an interview with the coach from Fresno State, the football coach.
Okay.
That will be maybe the first thing we should do.
Yeah. Presumably, you get all this?
I did. Well, it looks like you have to turn in a form, an appearance request, 4 weeks prior to a game to interview.
4 weeks?
4 weeks.
We don't have that kind of time.
Exactly.
No.
So it doesn't look like it's going to be plausible. So we're probably going to have to think of something else.
Yeah, do they want us to give this form as well?
Yeah, this appearance request form.
Oh.
And it just states, general information about name of the agency and address and name of event. But it takes 4 weeks, so.
Yeah, we don't have time
We
for
don't
that.
have time for that at all.
Then we need another interview with a football player.
Okay.
I've talked to the Peterson family, so that will be the next.
Next step?
Yeah.
Perfect. And that's simple.
And what's significant about the Peterson family? They had a child. And
Yeah, they have a son playing at Clovis North. He's a senior,
Okay.
and he had a concussion.
Okay.
So we can talk to him about having a concussion and if he's dreaming about the money in the NFL and
Yeah, the kind of money they make.
and we can listen to what he thinks about the current cases with Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson
Okay.
and the concussion things. So we can see if he thinks it's worth all the fame and the money.
Cole Peterson plays football for Clovis North, and he had a concussion. We asked him and his parents how they look at
Okay,
football.
hello, my name is Grant Peterson. This is my wife Kristen and our son Cole Peterson. He plays football for Clovis North Broncos. Sometimes I have concerns when Cole's playing football because of safety. It's a great sport, and so I know all the benefits of it, but there are some downsides, and we do worry that he could get hurt and could have some injuries or some head injuries or other type of injuries that might last.
As the Fresno Bee puts it, statistics speak for themselves. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention states that American hospitals treat 173,285 youth and teenage athletes every year for sports-related traumatic brain injuries. Of these, football represents 55,007.
Yeah, I believe he had a concussion at the end of October in a game, and what he told us that he kind of didn't feel good or that he was having some headaches, I think, afterwards. And so we took him to Sierra Orthopedic, and he saw the doctor, and they went through a series of tests, and I think Kristen knows more about that.
Cole.
And Cole does too, how many tests that he had to go through. So do you know how many, or do you know
Cole's
how
the
extensive?
best one to
Okay.
I went through
explain.
about 4 tests, 3 or 4 tests. One was the impact test, which was a computerized test that took about 45 minutes, and it's just about memory and like playing like tricks on your brain, like speed, reaction time. And then a few of them were walking, like when I had to walk on a straight line, and then one was when he would ask me verbally questions and I'd have to memorize them, and like the order of certain objects that he said. And then another one was a sound test that he did with like his fingers and like clicking.
Richard Lembo, director of sports medicine at Sierra Pacific Orthopedics, is working hard to get a concussion center to Fresno County. Lembo is on the sidelines when high schools play. where he performs concussion protocols with players that are looking groggy or are hit hard during a tackle. California law requires high schools to immediately remove players from a game suspected of having a concussion. The player cannot return to the game unless he is cleared by a licensed healthcare professional. Lembo is in favor of a concussion center in the Central Valley, and so is Brenna Hughes, who is a speech-language pathologist for the Community Regional Medical Center. Both professionals hope that there will be changes in the near future, and they are both doing a lot of work to get a concussion center in the Fresno area. This is not only about the money and the fame, but it is also about learning how to avoid and treat concussions.
The trainers, too, are very protective of the kids, and the trainer that dealt with Cole was from Spock, and he's the one that would not release Cole. He kept him in or off the field for the entire week, and he called me on Thursday and said, I can't, release him until he's had an impact test, which I never even heard of that before. He got us in the next day, and then we went through that, and then Cole was able to play the following Friday because he cleared all the tests, passed all the tests. But they here at Clovis North are very, very protective. They will, and parents are fighting that. In fact, when we were at Spock, I thanked the doctor for all the testing, and we were there for 2 hours of testing, and it was rigorous and a little bit stressful, I think. And I thanked him, and he said, thank you. He said most parents want to just get out of here and let their kids play.
Research has shown over the years that many football players who are involved in many head-on collisions have had concussions. Many of these concussions are never reported, and both retired and active players can have damages to their brain that they do not know of.
Any idea how many concussions you suffered in your career?
500 or more.
I'm sorry, I thought you said 500.
500
500 concussions.
or more, no doubt. Because here's
How many
what
were
he
diagnosed?
did.
How many were official?
Diagnosed 20.
Some players experience headaches or other symptoms which can be results of concussions.
If kids hide it because they're scared their parents are going to be mad or the coach is going to be mad or I want to hide it so I can play,
It's not worth it.
it's not worth it. Because there is a boy that
A few years ago, John Laura, he hit a potential concussion earlier in the game, and then 3 plays after that, he got hit again, and it ended up sending him into a coma because he tried to hide it from the coaches, and he didn't want to come out and say that his head was hurting or bothering him, or that he felt dizzy or anything, and then it ended up being a larger consequence.
There have been many cases involving former and current NFL players in situations such as domestic violence, suicide, assault, and memory loss. Most recently and publicly, the Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson debacles that shocked America. But should we really be so surprised?
I think that it does have to do partly with, or the concussions do have to do partly with domestic violence, because these players are brought on to large situations that are high, or dangerous situations and high intensity, and they can't really escape that zone once they go home or are on or off the football field. And some of the head trauma that they experience, they're still affected by weeks or months after. And my dad used to tell me, you have to flip the switch when you go onto the football field, which is get all intensified, but then when you come off to the field, you have to turn it off and relax and become a normal person. And I don't know if they're able to control that as much.
Football, and by extension the National Football League, is a huge money machine with salaries extending beyond the dreams of many ordinary workers. $426,000 is the minimum wage for a football player that makes it to the promised land. Football players become larger-than-life figures, like movie stars, in society for better and worse. They are depicted in magazines and seen on TV by millions of people every year. For better or worse, many football players are viewed as representatives of our society.
I believe they do earn too much money because they're just humans like us. They're just a little bit better athletes, or maybe they tried harder to get to that level, but I don't think they're willing of that large amount of money, and I believe that they're way overpaid and idolized by the youth and also the media. I think that personally it may be because of the money, and they want the fame and they want to be recognized for their talents, which is God-given talents, and then they want to be like rewarded for how good they think they are, when realistically they may not work as hard as the person next to them, but may not be as good. So I think they are driven by the fame, the money, and the media, and being recognized, and I think that's a large part of that.
Is it worth it? Probably not, because if it's a lifelong injury that could
Nothing
affect
is
them,
worth
no.
one game, one season, 1 year. Nothing is worth that, because you're only given one head for the rest of your life, and so you need to protect it.